NASA tested it, Olympic athletes use it, ultramarathon runners survive 100-mile races on it, and it was invented over 3,000 years by indigenous Mexican farmers who had no science labs, no nutritionists, and no electricity. A single handful of this golden corn powder contains more energy per ounce than most modern protein bars. It lasts for over a year without refrigeration. It costs less than $5 a pound, and it might be one of the most perfectly engineered foods in human history. But almost nobody outside of Mexico has ever heard its name. This is the story of pinole, the Aztec superfood that powered warriors, runners, and almost made it to outer space. Let's go back to around 1500 BC. Long before the Aztecs, long before the Mayans built their pyramids, long before any European had ever heard of corn. In the highlands of Mexico, indigenous farmers were doing something remarkable. They were growing the world's most important crop, corn, or as the Aztecs would later call it, maize. To these ancient farmers, maize wasn't just food, it was a gift from the gods. It was sacred, it was life itself. But raw corn was hard to store. It rotted in the rainy seasons, it attracted insects, it went stale quickly. So these ancient farmers asked themselves a brilliant question. How do you take the most nutritious food on earth and make it last forever? Their answer was pinole. Here's how pinole was made. Farmers would take dried corn kernels and toast them slowly over a clay griddle called a comal. The toasting process was the key. It killed every bacteria, every fungus, and every insect egg inside the corn. It removed nearly all the moisture, which is what causes food to spoil. And it created something else entirely, a deep, nutty, slightly sweet flavor that came out only after the corn turned a deep golden brown. Then the toasted corn was ground into a fine powder using a stone metate. Sometimes other ingredients were added, cacao beans for richness, chia seeds for omega-3s, cinnamon, vanilla, or even ground cactus fruit for flavor. But the foundation was always the same, toasted ground corn. The result was pinole, a golden powder that could be stored for over a year without spoiling, a powder that could be eaten dry, mixed with water, mixed with milk, or shaped into balls with honey. A powder so light and dense that a small leather pouch could feed a warrior for days. And here's where the science gets unbelievable. Modern nutritionists have studied pinole. Just a small handful, about 100 grams, contains around 400 calories. It's packed with slow-burning complex carbohydrates that release energy gradually over hours. It contains protein, fiber, antioxidants, and a unique mix of plant compounds that the toasting process actually creates. Yes, creates. The high heat of toasting causes chemical changes in the corn that produce healthier nutrients than raw corn ever could. But the real magic of pinole isn't in the calories, it's in the way it fuels the human body. Pinole has a low glycemic index, meaning it doesn't cause sudden sugar spikes or energy crashes. It's loaded with resistant starch, which feeds the good bacteria in the gut. It contains all the essential nutrients the body needs for endurance without the heaviness of regular meals. A runner eating pinole doesn't feel full, he feels powered. His muscles get steady energy, his mind stays sharp, his digestion stays calm, just smooth, clean fuel that lasts for hours. This is why pinole became the warrior food of choice across ancient Mexico. Aztec soldiers carried small leather pouches of pinole everywhere they marched. Aztec messengers, the famous Pinani runners, drank pinole mixed with water before sprinting 250 miles in a single day. Aztec priests ate pinole during long religious ceremonies that lasted for days without sleep. The entire empire was fueled by this golden powder. While European armies needed elaborate meals and supply caravans, Aztec warriors needed nothing but a pouch of pinole and a small jug of water. They could appear and disappear across mountain ranges that no other army could cross. Pinole gave them freedom of movement that completely changed how war was fought in ancient Mexico. But Pinole's most extraordinary story comes from a tribe that still lives in northern Mexico today, the Tarahumara people, also called the Raramuri, which means those who run fast. The Tarahumara are not just runners, they are the greatest ultra-distance runners on planet Earth. They regularly run 100 miles in a single day. They sometimes run 200 miles over 2 days. They run barefoot or in thin handmade sandals across some of the most brutal mountain terrain in North America. They run for fun, for sport, for spiritual reasons, for deer hunting, where they literally chase animals to exhaustion over the course of several days. And the fuel that powers all of this is pinole. A Tarahumara runner doesn't carry energy gels, he doesn't carry protein bars, he doesn't carry sports drinks. He carries a small pouch of pinole and a hollow gourd of water. That's it. During his run, he mixes the pinole into the water and drinks it on the move. The pinole keeps him hydrated, fueled, and mentally clear. Modern sports scientists have studied the Tarahumara extensively. They were profiled in the best-selling book Born to Run, which inspired millions of people around the world to take up running. Researchers were stunned to discover that these runners, fueled by ancient pinole, often outperform elite Western marathoners trained on modern nutrition. Now here's where the story takes a truly amazing turn. In the 1970s and 1980s, NASA scientists started searching for the perfect food for long space missions. They needed a food that was lightweight, shelf-stable for years, calorie-dense, easy to prepare with minimal water, nutritionally complete, and easy to digest in zero gravity. They tested hundreds of foods. They examined indigenous foods from around the world, and one food kept catching their attention: pinole. NASA researchers studied pinole as a candidate for astronaut food because it checked nearly every box on their requirements list: long shelf life, lightweight, high calorie density, just add water preparation. The same toasted corn powder that fueled Aztec warriors was being seriously considered to fuel astronauts traveling beyond Earth. While pinole didn't end up as the official NASA space food, the fact that it was studied at all shows you just how advanced this ancient invention really was. Modern food scientists have spent billions of dollars trying to design the perfect endurance food. The Aztecs and their ancestors figured it out 3,500 years earlier, with nothing but a stone griddle, dried corn, and the wisdom passed down from generation to generation. But like many indigenous foods, pinole almost disappeared. When the Spanish conquered Mexico in the 1500s, they brought wheat, sugar, and European foods that slowly pushed traditional indigenous foods to the margins. Pinole survived only because remote communities like the Tarahumara refused to give it up. For centuries, pinole was considered a peasant food. Then came the running boom of the 2000s. Then came the superfood movement, and suddenly, pinole was back. Today, pinole is sold in health food stores across the United States, Canada, and Europe. Brands market it as the original superfood. Endurance athletes use it as race fuel. Marathoners drink pinole shakes before long runs. The same food that NASA studied for astronauts is now being sipped by ultra-runners in Boulder, Colorado, and bodybuilders in Los Angeles. The wisdom of ancient Mexico has finally gone global, 500 years after the Spanish tried to bury it. And here's something beautiful. In Mexico, traditional pinole vendors still sell their golden powder in markets, just as their ancestors did 500 years ago. Some families have been making pinole the same way for 10 generations. Same toasting method, same grinding technique, same flavor that an Aztec emperor would have recognized. It's one of the few foods on Earth that connects modern life directly to a civilization that existed before Columbus ever set sail. So the next time you reach for an expensive protein bar or a fancy sports drink, remember this: a 3,500-year-old toasted corn powder invented by indigenous farmers in Mexico fueled warriors, conquered empires, sustained the greatest ultra-runners on Earth, and almost flew to outer space. Pinole isn't a trend, it's the original superfood. If this story amazed you, hit that subscribe button and join the Alternate Past family for more forgotten history like this. And tell me in the comments, could you run a 100-mile race fueled only by toasted Aztec corn powder? Yes or no?